Justin Trudeau has survived his toughest day as Prime Minister, with Chrystia Freeland writing a scathing public resignation letter, leading to other caucus colleagues to call on Trudeau to quit. Our Mackenzie Gray joins us now from Ottawa to break down all the political drama, the turmoil, as well as what's next for Trudeau. So, Mac, a lot to unpack here. The Prime Minister spoke to Liberal supporters last night, his first public comment since Freeland's resignation. What did he have to say?
It was a pretty shocking speech, I've got to say, Miranda. Justin Trudeau basically gave the regular stump speech that we in Ottawa hear all the time, highlighting what the Liberals would say were achievements, passing things like dental care and really trying to dunk on the Conservatives. But he made only very limited passing references to what had happened yesterday, saying it was an eventful day and kind of thanked supporters for showing up, even when it's, difficult times for the Liberal parties. Didn't thank Chrystia Freeland, didn't mention Chrystia Freeland, didn't talk about his political future at all. He basically drove right by the massive political earthquake, the political missile that Chrystia Freeland shot directly at Justin Trudeau yesterday. No mention of it at all. So really no formal statement from the Prime Minister in terms of what his intentions are going forward when there are a number of caucus members calling for him to quit. And no thanks or any recognition of all of Chrystia Freeland after she was the central cabinet minister in implementing his agenda over the 9 years he's been Prime Minister.
All right, so Mac, with Trudeau facing those renewed calls from Liberal MPs for him to quit, where exactly does that push stand?
Well, that was definitely a topic of conversation yesterday when the Liberals had a kind of an emergency caucus meeting. It was pretty remarkable. It wasn't in the normal room that it normally takes place in. So for a decent chunk of time, cameras were able to see right into the room. There's a huge glass window in front of it. So our cameras caught Justin Trudeau talking for at least 3 minutes at the beginning of the meeting. The Liberals wisened up a little later and put barriers in place so we couldn't continue to see in. But that's going to be an ongoing question going forward. We've seen a number of the MPs that were part of kind of this caucus revolt that we talked about a lot last month, rising up again, putting out more formal statements this time saying, hey, I was one of the 23 MPs that called on the Prime Minister to quit previously. I agree now that he really needs to go after what's happened with Chrystia Freeland. But, when we talked about that before, one of the things that we always said is, well, where does this go? Until there are senior cabinet ministers that join the call for Mr. Trudeau to quit, it doesn't seem likely that he's going to leave. While Chrystia Freeland didn't do that yesterday in her letter saying, Justin Trudeau, you need to resign, she certainly sent a very stern message across the bow talking about political gimmicks, saying that they didn't see eye to eye, in essence, on how to deal with the economy and how to deal with Trump. It wasn't a clear sign that Mr. Trudeau needs to go, but it certainly was the starter's gun and Chrystia Freeland's future leadership bid. One of the issues that she likely would have had without doing something like this is, basically she was very close to the Prime Minister. She was the Finance Minister, the Deputy Prime Minister. I think yesterday was an attempt for her on one level to distance herself from Justin Trudeau. The key thing I'm watching for in this situation are any of the other potential leadership candidates going to follow suit with Chrystia Freeland. Melanie Joly, Francois-Philippe Champagne, Anita Anand, the three people I'm looking at. Do they stay on board with Mr. Trudeau or do they follow with Ms. Freeland and leave cabinet? If that happens, it will be increasingly untenable that Mr. Trudeau would be able to stay on.
All right, so Mac, with the opposition calling for either Trudeau to quit or call an election, plus the internal pressure from his own MPs, what is the strategy for the Prime Minister to stay on and effectively govern?
Well, the first thing that Mr. Trudeau is going to do is try and just bunker down. Today is the last day of the House of Commons until a 6-week break in terms of the sitting schedule. The only thing on his agenda today, again, is another speech to Liberal supporters. It's basically a Liberal Christmas party tonight. He's going to talk at that. Would be an opportunity for him to mention anything about his future or Ms. Freeland at this opportunity. But until then, basically it's Christmas break. So he's going to have time where he doesn't have to have a press conference he doesn't want to. We're not going to be running around trying to talk to MPs or trying to talk to him in the House of Commons. So there is some political breathing room where he'll seemingly try and take that time and try to be able to recover. I think yesterday there were two clear signs that, at least in the short term, he intends to stay on. He appointed Dominic LeBlanc as the finance minister very quickly, and they did put out the fall economic statement, which does have some measures the Liberals would like to pass in there, $1.3 billion to deal with the border for the RCMP and the CBSA. But the idea of that getting through Parliament at this point in time seems very unlikely. We've heard from the Conservatives and the Bloc both coming out saying we need to have an election now. Of course, the Conservatives have been saying that for a while, but that's a different tone from the Bloc. The NDP was a bit more convoluted. Jagmeet Singh coming out saying that Justin Trudeau needs to resign, but then wouldn't say if they'd vote non-confidence against the Liberals, just saying they have all their options on the table. So it really will come down to, once again, can Justin Trudeau cut a deal with Jagmeet Singh to try and get anything through the House of Commons? It's been a real challenge. The only thing they've been able to do since the summer, essentially, was that GST holiday. That's the only money bill the Liberals have been able to pass, and it seems increasingly unlikely they'll be able to get anything through, which just puts even more political pressure on Mr. Trudeau to be able to deal with not only the people in caucus who are frustrated with him, but try to get anything done politically in the face of these 25% tariffs that Donald Trump keeps bringing up. And he did talk about Chrystia Freeland too on Truth Social last night. He basically said Justin Trudeau made the right decision. He did not like Chrystia Freeland, and again went at that motif of Canada being the 51st state, something we're going to, I think, continue to have from Donald Trump as he trolls the Prime Minister pretty consistently.
All right, well, what a way to end 2024. Mac, as always, thank you so much for that breakdown. We appreciate it.
Thanks.
That is our Mackenzie Gray reporting from the nation's capital.